All right, this is gonna be the hardest video to definitely teach in the series, because it's gonna mess with a lot of your heads. So it's gonna be tough. But there's something called a market maker buy model and sell model, and this is how the market moves. So if I just type in market maker buy model, market maker sell model on YouTube or Google, whatever, you're gonna get something like this, where we get the sell side of the curve going down and the buy side of the curve going up. Here's a great example of just what it looks like. All right, if I open this in a new tab, open new image in a new tab actually. All right, and zoom in. You have this really nice curve, and all these boxes drawn are these different accumulation and distribution phases. Now, the reason why this is going to be the hardest to teach is because that's not like some of this is hindsight. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Some of it is hindsight. But the second half is not hindsight, is what counts. So what do I mean by this? Well, you don't know that this is truly going to be a market maker sell model until, like, honestly, I would say until you see like this bullish for value gap is completely violated. I mean, here there's no way I'd guess we're going to go to this low until something like this was violated. And maybe I don't think it's going to be violated, but maybe when it is right here, I'm like, okay, this is going to go down now. And then that provides you an opportunity to, even though you didn't know it was a sell model before, it provides you an opportunity the next 100, 200 points to look for setups back down to that low. Does that make sense? So the biggest thing with the market, and you don't have to draw these boxes. I mean, that's just for show. It's not like you're going to have the same box like, oh, here's accumulation, here's distribution. It's the curve that counts and where the market maker model completes and uncompletes. Okay. If I go into my Discord and I go to the study section, all right, or the where is it? Education section of my Discord, and I go to where to start or market maker models. They all start with like a very high peak. Get this really nice curve. This is the hindsight part, to be honest. Obviously, some of it's not hindsight. I do take some of this in live time. But this is where you're like, okay, it's going to be a buy curve. Where did it start? It started up here. We're probably going to complete it. And this is where you typically look for like fair value gaps to hold, order blocks to hold, etc. Propulsion blocks to hold. You want to kind of see a combination of all that stuff holding. So, again, another example. Very, very just, it has a super nice curve. Okay. Every one of these has a nice curve. So, how are you going to apply this to the chart? Well, long story short, it's not like you're going to apply this like in the way you think. Again, I know this is going to be the hardest video to teach because it's a more of an experience thing. But if I had to teach it, like I said, it kind of helps you identify where the market should go. Like, honestly, you don't know where the market's going to go here. Maybe you think up because we're holding this for a value gap. That's fine. And let's say you don't ever see a long entry in the 1 minute here. And all of a sudden, price just goes down. We go down, whatever. And all of a sudden, you're like, okay, this is bearish. I actually think we're going to go to this low. And it's not because you don't think we're going to go to that low because of just your guessing. You kind of envision this model in your brain. That's how the market's going to move. So when I pull up this bearish market maker model, you can kind of envision it like, oh, where should the sell model complete? Down where it started. Why do I know it's going to complete there? Well, we violated this major gap, and if we were bullish, we wouldn't have done that. And that's how the market moves. All right? Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. So, like, if I go to the 1 minute chart, you'll see a market maker model every single time frame, I'm telling you. Okay, if I go to the 1 minute time frame, does this look like a good buy model? No. Because why? Is there distribution in a bunch of clean short entries here? No, there's not. It's just a singular red candle. This is not a buy model. This is just whatever. In a buy model or sell model, you will see a good accumulation phases and good distribution phases on the opposite side of the curve. And most of the time, you will not catch the buy side of the curve or the sell side of the curve. You'll catch the opposite sell side or buy side of the curve after you see that smart money reversal of one, a fair value gap getting wrecked through, or two, just a nice bearish gap forming and then seeing us reject that. Okay. And again, it's going to be it's very hard to teach this. You're going to learn through experience. Let's see if I can find a good buy model that just has a nice curve. All right, I almost say this was a good buy model because you can kind of see we have kind of a pump here, form a very high peak. Okay, very high. We kind of get like a distribution phase here, kind of get another one here, stopping out a bunch, like I'd even say here. And then all of a sudden, we get a very big out of nowhere candle down and then inverse that right back up again, right? Creating a market structure shift. And at this point, you'd be like, okay, this could be a buy model. Let's see if we get an accumulation phase. And like, oh, we get an accumulation phase. Meaning, okay, I'm going to take the next bullish fair value gap I see, knowing that we're going to complete that buy side of the curve. And where do we complete it? Well, we complete it at the high where it kind of started in hindsight. This second half is not hindsight. This is your hindsight right here. So I don't want it to mess with their heads too much. It's really, I'm giving you something to think about. This is a beginner boot camp. I'm giving you something to think about. But this is how the market will typically move. And this might be the entry you might take because you're like, oh, well, we're in a buy model. We accumulated here. Smart money reversal here. It's an obvious, this is like a common sense smart money reversal where a bunch of retail traders get wrecked here and then we just instantly reverse. Where do we have to complete? Well, we should complete at this high right here, okay? That's how you identify a buy model. Another tip, this is from Zusi, is this. If you ever see, and don't take this with a grain, this is actually a very good tip. This changed my trading, I'm not going to lie. If you ever see this, I'll show you in a second. Here's a market reversal, and this is oftentimes, this will tell you, okay, we're going to be in a buy model now and go to that next high, which this would be your sell side of the curve, this would be your buy side of the curve. But how do you know this is going to complete all the way to the buy side of the curve? If you ever see us form a lower high inside a fair value gap, and then we break that lower high as well as the inverse gap or inverse gap, that is often a good time or good sign. It is going to be a buy or sell model, and we will go all the way back up there. Look for the signature price. I'm telling you, it will work a lot. All right. Even like, look at this one. This high literally rejected this fair value gap right here. And it happened to be a swing high because it was a 3 candle formation. High, higher high, lower high. And when we instantly kind of broke it, getting a market structure shift, it brought us all the way back up to here. So make sure you're paying attention to those highs formed in fair value gaps. So if you ever get like a market structure over those, that is definitely one good indication it could be a market maker model. So I want to give you something to think about. I would study these. Remember, the first half, a lot of it is going to be hindsight, but the second half is typically not hindsight. So just remember that, all right? So that is that, all right? Study them. If you're taking an entry model, see if you can kind of spot like, oh, this might be a sell model to the lows, or this might be a buy model to the highs. But do not make it your trading plan. I'm telling you, you don't want to overcomplicate trading. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to the market, immediately look for a sell model. Go to the market, look for equal highs, look for equal lows, look for engineered liquidity where you might think their stop losses is, and then knowing where the buy model and sell model will come with a year or two of experience, and also it will come naturally when you're looking for your already own entry model. So that is kind of the market maker model. Now, you're probably wondering, like, oh, this looks like a nice curve. Like, maybe we go complete, where would we complete? Down here? And, yeah, honestly, it does. Where would we complete? Down here. It looks like a nice curve. But Would I short this low for one? No. I'd wait for a retracement. Maybe up here. It's not smart to short down here. And then just maybe if I see my model inside of this zone after we retrace into some sort of or premium array, whatever, up above the 0.5, then yeah, I might take a short and try to target a low down here. And then yeah, maybe I might hold a runner down here if I think it's going to be a sell model at that point. But it all depends on kind of how we end up reacting to like this right here, if that makes sense. All right. You never know. You might not. We could literally get the most bullish candle ever through this and then just pump through it, and all of a sudden you don't get a short model. That's why we don't want to blindly short this on the 5. You want to wait for like a second entry model out of this if you were to take anything in the first place. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. All right. So that's the sell model, buy model. Hopefully, I really hope this video made sense. It might not make sense for a while, but that's okay. It's something to be aware of. Study it in my Discord. And yeah, the more, like, honestly, I never saw a buy or sell model lifetime until like a year or two down the road. I just need to see them and just keep seeing them. And finally, it just clicked for me one day. I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be a sell model. You know, it had that curve to it. It had that accumulation fate. Like we have the accumulation here. We have the accumulation here. We have the smart money reversal up here when this inverses. We had the distribution right here. Okay, now I know we're going to go to this low because we're kind of getting all those accumulation and distribution phases. And that's kind of where I'm thinking. That's where I'm going. So that is it for this video. Peace.